Good evening, and thanks for tuning into our Halloween edition of Double Trouble on CTV Sports. I'm a dinosaur.
And I'm Ellie Sattler. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Well, the CSU football team was probably a dinosaur after getting whooped by Air Force 45-28 this weekend. The defense in particular. Air Force surpassed 400 rushing yards and dominated in time of possession, making CSU's offense sit on the bench for long stretches of time. When the offense did get on the field, they're forced to make plays that weren't there. Nick Stevens throwing for 3 interceptions. To make matters worse for Stevens, he was 1 touchdown short of tying Garrett Grayson's career-high touchdown passes, which would have given him the CSU record. But really, the spookiest part of this game was not the offense. Michael Gallup had 161 yards and a touchdown. Nick Stevens threw for 269 yards, and Dalen Dawkins had 13 carries for 141 yards and a touchdown. No, this loss was a defensive nightmare on Elm Street. The defense might as well have not shown up at all. Head coach Mike Bobo said in his post-game press conference it ought to be embarrassing, and he is right. It was embarrassing. Really embarrassing.
Well, on a lighter note, basketball season is so close I can almost taste it. I am a T-Rex after all. We have keen senses. The Rams will host their exhibition game versus Northern Colorado on November 5th, which means the next time you see us, we will be talking basketball. Not that I'm all that excited about it or anything, but that game really should be a treat. The proceeds for that game will go towards hurricane relief in Puerto Rico, home of former Ram Gian Clavel.
The CSU women's soccer season has come to a close with a 3-2 loss against Wyoming at home. Unlike the football team, the defense shined for Colorado State despite the loss. In particular, sophomore defender Hallie Havlicek, who scored CSU's 2 goals. Many of the seniors who were honored at senior night were part of Bill Hempin's first recruiting class since the team's inaugural 2013 season.
Well, I'm just the pick you back up from sad sports news T-Rex today because I have some more good news for you. The CSU volleyball team is still awesome. The Rams continue their dominance in the Mountain West after wins last week against Wyoming in 4 sets and an Air Force in a quick 3 sweep. To make matters even more entertaining, our very own Nick Baker got hit in the face by a volleyball before the game and announced the entire game without vision and with a mild concussion. You go, Nick. You go.
Rachel, what do you call a dinosaur that can't decide whether to leave or not?
What?
A stegosaurus.
Creative.
We're going to take a quick break, but you should stay. We'll be right back.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break. If you're just tuning in, you're probably very confused because Rachel V. Hill here is in a dinosaur costume. But if you're tuning in looking for Double Trouble on CTV Sports, you're in the right place. Welcome to our Halloween episode. We'll continue to scare you with how weird we are.
Now, with a costume like this, we couldn't help but wonder, what would it be like to be an athlete as a dinosaur? Well, turns out it's not that easy. Take a look. Let me tell you, little arms are not conducive for being a star athlete.
All right, before we let you go, we're going to do a little Throwback Monday, because that's how that works, right? Once upon a time when we were just starting in sports, we made this really funny, or maybe not, The Studio is Haunted video. We thought we might give you a little taste to show you how far we haven't come. Take a look.
You know what's scary, Grace? That they still let us on TV. What was that?
That's actually kind of creepy, Rachel. I don't know what that...
Maybe this place really is haunted, Grace. Grace? Grace? Alright, Grace, what do you call someone who tells too many dinosaur jokes?
I don't know, Rachel.
Or dino bore. Ha 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 ha, get it? Well, don't go anywhere because up next we have Foco's sports show and they promise that they won't tell any more dinosaur jokes. Stay tuned.
Welcome back from the break. I'm Grace Reeder, here alongside some of our friends from the Rocky Mountain Student Media. Guys, if you want to maybe introduce yourselves and then tell us why you're wearing the jersey that you're wearing.
All right. Well, I am Javon Harris from the Collegian, and I am actually wearing a vintage, authentic JD Page 22 jersey. I'm wearing this right now because hopefully he makes it somewhere big to the NBA or something like that.
It's
and
timely.
I can. Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully he has a good year for CSU. They're going to need a guy like him to perform. Not a lot of experience on the team this season.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I'm Nick Baker, and I'm wearing Jake Delhomme's jersey, the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'm from KCSU.
I am Brian Buck from KCSU. I'm wearing a Seahawks Bobby Wagner jersey. I think he is the most underrated linebacker in football. I think he's one of the reasons that the Seahawks defense is the way it is. Plus, you can't just get a Richard Sherman jersey or something like that. That's too plain, right?
That's
so I had to be unique with it.
I respect that. I respect the no Richard Sherman jersey. All right, let's hop right into it because I know you guys love to talk. So obviously, everyone around the CSU campus is talking Coach Mack. Yep. What happened and where do you think his career goes from here?
I didn't really see too much of what happened. I just know that he's not there anymore. Where do I see he goes from there? I think that he had a couple good seasons at Florida. I mean, it wasn't totally a letdown. He didn't do, and then I respect him still when he was at CSU. I thought that they had a tremendous year when they had Garrett Grayson, they had Rashard Higgins as well. So I don't know. I can see coaching again in his future, but maybe not right now at the moment.
I mean, he's had some great seasons at CSU, some okay seasons at Florida. It's to the point where he'll get a job somewhere, probably not a Power 5 school, maybe a very low Tier 1, but I don't see him getting, a very reputable job anytime soon.
Yeah, here's the thing about Jim McElwain that concerns me. While he was at CSU, the layover between his time at CSU to Coach Bobo, what we saw from him at Florida, he's not a good recruiter. And when you are a head coach at the high level of college football, FBS, Power 5 schools, Florida, you're competing for a national championship, if you want to have a high-paying job, if you want to be worth millions of dollars to a university, you have to be able to recruit players. Jim McElwain, we know from his time here with Garrett Grayson, with Rashard Higgins, with a lot of the pieces we had, like Capri Bibbs, Shaquille Barrett, he won us that bowl game in New Mexico. He's a great offensive mind. He's a great X's and O's coach, but he can't recruit, and we've seen a lot. He doesn't have great chemistry with his players. We saw the Will Greer incident where he basically pushed Will Greer out, who is now the leader in FBS touchdown passes at West Virginia. He's not a great guy with his players. So he's going to need to either A, figure that out, or B, try and move on to the NFL, because in the NFL you don't have to be a recruiter. You just need to be an X's and O's guys. You just need to be a coach. So I could see him going to the NFL, or I could see him moving back to being a coordinator like he was at Alabama before he came to CSU. Those are the two things that make sense to me. One thing I think that we should point out here at CSU that's really funny, really interesting for us, we're still getting paid for that. Yep. We still have a Florida game on the schedule next season where we will be profiting from them not having Jim McElwain anymore. Florida out over $40 million with the Jim McElwain experiment, as some are calling it. So very interesting. We're still making money off of it. They got to pay him a bunch of money. Us at CSU, we're plenty happy to be moved on from him.
Yeah. Hey, CSU maybe might have won that one.
Yeah.
It's all right. maybe people shouldn't be as mad.
He's
All
gonna
right,
go for a while.
let's move on to football. We were watching the Broncos game a little bit here. It was looking pretty sad.
Yep.
We had a nice turnover already.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes,
What
okay.
Bronco game this season hasn't looked pretty sad? Even the wins.
Boom.
Yikes.
Boom.
That's
Yeah, that Chargers,
accurate.
Right?
when they almost let the Chargers
wasn't
come back
okay.
in week 1, I was like,
I was rooting for the Chargers. I'm not gonna lie to
You
you.
were rooting for the
Come on,
Chargers?
young. What is his name? Young
Excuse you.
Hoku. Young
Get
Hoku.
off. What are you
Come
doing?
on, Young
Get
Hoku.
off. No, come on. Absolutely not. All right, but NFL overall, aside from the Broncos, which I'll go cry about later, alongside the Rockies, what have you guys seen from this season?
The Panthers defense. Now, hear me out. Wait,
Here we go.
Wait.
Here we go.
They've allowed only 3 points defensively 4 times this season. And they're 3-1 in those games. The only one they lost is because Cam and threw 2 interceptions. And they allowed 14 points on offense. But their defense is legit. And they're going up
Legit.
and they're going up against the Falcons at home, the Dolphins at home,
Yeah.
and then the Jets. And I mean, that's poised. They're going to go to the playoffs because of their schedule. That's as simple as that.
All right.
That's like saying that Wisconsin in college football is going to go to the playoff.
Boom.
Schedule.
Shouts to Eddie.
Yeah, they're undefeated,
That's
but that's just because they haven't played anybody good.
But they played the Patriots. and they beat the Patriots.
Played anybody good.
When the Patriots' defense was still terrible, I would like to see Cam Newton actually play an intelligent football game for once in his
So
career.
would I.
And then I will join the support group for the Panthers. Maybe you guys
all
will
will.
lose another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm wearing a Seahawks
Whoa.
jersey. I think that the Seahawks are great. Hard to argue that one of the best football games of the year was played on Sunday between
Deshaun Watson is actually insane.
the Texans
But, yeah.
and the Seahawks. I think both of those teams are going to make it a long way into the playoffs. I think Deshaun Watson is the real deal. Russell Wilson said it, hand him the Rookie of the Year now.
I mean,
Do it.
Might
There's
as
no
well.
reason
Can you
not
make
to.
a case for anyone else?
Leonard Fournette is right there, but he's injured right
Kareem
now.
Hunt.
Juju.
Kareem Hunt is also pretty solid.
Juju. I love that.
Juju.
Juju the man. Got his bike back,
I
97
think
yards
he's going to
touchdown.
have to pass a driver's test before I'll give him Rookie of the Year. I mean, like, he still has his opportunities, but when you play the quarterback position, you're always favored in the NFL, no matter what we're discussing. And so Deshaun Watson naturally has that leg up. I've been a fan of him since his Clemson days. He knows how to win football games. And when you know how to win football games, everything else kind of just comes. And he does that really well. But I, right now, am a big fan of the team playing the Broncos, and I'm a big fan of the team in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Not only do they have the best records, but they're doing things offensively and defensively that are clean.
Yeah.
Neither team is turning the ball over a lot. They're making smart offensive plays, and I think Carson Wentz right now is poised to be the MVP.
Oh, my goodness.
I know Tim McCall isn't here, and he's a huge Philadelphia
Hey,
fan.
I'm on the bandwagon.
Alec, our director in there, massive Eagles fan. So
yeah.
shout out to
Well,
Alec for
I'm
that.
on the
playing well.
bandwagon.
I know.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times in the NFL season, we see this team come along and get like the Panthers, like you said, a nice schedule where they end up 8-1, 10-2. We're like, wow, they're so good.
Yeah.
The Eagles are playing good teams. They're beating good
Exactly.
teams, and they're doing it in very methodical, intelligent ways.
Outside of the 49ers, everyone they've played has been a pretty good team,
yeah,
a team that can
exactly.
take a game from you.
Speaking of the 49ers, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the two trades that just occur. 49ers acquiring Jimmy Garoppolo for this coming draft's second-round pick to the Patriots.
Which is going to be like number 34.
Exactly. So basically a first-round pick.
Right.
I think it's a great trade for the 49ers. Also a very interesting angle. Kirk Cousins kind of situation going on this offseason. 49ers were expected to be one of the top teams, so his value gets driven down a little bit. Kirk Cousins lost a lot of money with this trade, which is interesting.
So that's
Also,
Kirk Cousins on our fantasy team. Me.
That's unfortunate.
that doesn't matter. It's
okay.
just his salary that
It's
takes a hit. No, the other trade, of course, with the Seahawks acquiring Dwayne Brown from the Texans for Jeremy Lane, a 5th-round pick this year and a 2nd-round pick in 2019. I think that's a huge deal.
I think they overpaid a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth it for what they need offensive line.
Well, it doesn't matter.
And
what
you
they
know
pay.
the Texans knew that. They were like,
Their current
need
left tackle, Reese Odiambo, according to Pro Football Focus, was 73rd out of 74 evaluated tackles in the NFL last year.
That's brutal.
And if there's any knock on the Seahawks team right now, it's their offensive line. Russell Wilson did a lot of amazing stuff. On Sunday, he's been doing a lot of amazing stuff all year. But if he can't stay upright, he can't stay healthy, they can't win football games late. So they have to keep him healthy. That's a big acquisition. I think it makes a bigger impact than a lot of people will see, especially when you consider that a big Jimmy Garoppolo trade occurred 30 minutes later.
Can we talk about the Jets? The Jets are surprisingly good this year. I mean, they're not good by any means.
Is
Trust
surprisingly
me,
good
but
or good? There's a difference.
Josh McCown is playing like he did for like the 3 weeks when he was with the Bears that everyone's like, oh my God, Josh McCown.
Yeah, exactly.
And he got that huge contract with Tampa Bay. He's playing like he should have when he was in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And he has like some pretty underrated receivers, Robbie Anderson, Jermaine Kearse, like a bunch of tight ends that nobody knows who they are.
There was a line.
Who Austin Safarian Jenkins is.
Yeah.
He went to the University of Washington.
There was a line on Vegas. You can bet like what I think it was like $10 or $100 if they'll make the playoffs, and you can win out like $1 million. That's what Eddie told me.
You should have done that.
Yeah.
I should've
Wow.
been really
They're
lucky.
still not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying. But like, I don't know. As we
Bills
inch
are going to make
closer,
the playoffs in that
that's true.
division.
They're
behind the
playing
Patriots.
so much better than they should. They're playing like
better
a
than the
6-10
Broncos.
team instead of a 0-16 team. So
It's good for
Wow,
the
that was
Jets.
a nice toss in. I like it. Let's talk about the Jets.
Let's talk
All right,
about
we
the
have
Jets.
like just 1 or 2 minutes, so we have to keep it brief. But I'm just going to throw one more question at you guys. What does the CSU football team need to do aside from just
They need to
restart the
care.
defense?
Play
Take a-
angry.
oh.
They need to be aggressive.
yeah, exactly. They need to not come out slow and sloppy and all the time. You know, if they come out fast shooting like we know they can be, you know, then they won't find themselves in a hole like they usually are.
They need to stop playing down to their opponents.
Yeah, that's very
They
true.
lost by just 1 more point to Alabama than they did to Air Force, and that's not okay. In any book, it doesn't matter what team you are. They're playing down. That's clear.
This is a team that has not yet played to squash the team they're playing against since you could consider Hawaii after coming off that Alabama loss, but we haven't seen the potential that this team has had since Oregon State. Not really. Abilene Christian was lackluster. Hawaii, we could have done better playing defense in the second half. Every game since in the Mountain West, we've left stuff on the table. Nick and I talk about it all the time. This is a team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that doesn't play like it's playing football. When you play football, you play physical, you play aggressive, you play to make the guy you're playing against lose hope, like Steve Smith's famous quote. And they're not playing that way. They're playing because they expect to win. You've got Nick Stevens who's trying to force everything. I have said it for weeks now. There are only 2 players on this football team that have been playing hard, aggressive, true football every week of the season. Dalen Dawkins and Michael Gallup.
I agree.
Michael Gallup, we all know.
Yeah.
He's projected to go day 2 in the NFL draft. He's working his way up into the first round. He looks amazing. But Dalen Dawkins has yet to surpass more than 20 carries in any game except one. He has 400-yard rushing games. He's yet to average less than 4 yards a carry in every game except the Colorado game. He almost averaged 6 a carry against Alabama. But yet he gets less than 16 touches a game. This is a guy who I think needs to be featured in the offense more. He's done amazing things. He had 141 yards on 13 carries last week.
Insane.
To go along with 3 catches for 39 and a touchdown. I don't know why this guy isn't getting more work, why he's not making a bigger impact. It seems like every other time he touches the ball, he breaks away for 10 to 15 yards.
And he has like 5 or more rushes of over 50 yards this year.
And as I started the point with, he's one of the only guys on this football team that's seemingly cared and worked hard and done it in intelligent ways the entire season. Nick Stevens has worked hard, but he makes mental mistakes all the
Broncos are
time, like
losing.
this last game.
Broncos down what?
14-3.
Broncos aren't looking good.
We knew that.
Yeah,
We knew that. Yeah, we
Rachel over
expected
here.
that
Have
already.
they ever?
Throwing us
Yeah, exactly.
a 14-3 Kansas City sign. It's fine. We
Oh, it's
moved on
lovely.
from the Broncos. I'm done crying about the Broncos. We're talking about we're crying about CSU now. Yeah. So what do they do going in next week against Wyoming? At Wyoming too.
You know where the weapons are at,
Yeah.
so that's a big plus. It's shut down Josh Allen, you
Right.
shut down Wyoming.
Right.
But you knew where the weapons were for Air Force
And then
too,
they ran the
in the
same
triple
play.
option, and they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, let's run cover
Yeah.
4, let's run inside blitzes against the triple
Right.
option."
And then let's
Whatever you want
Yeah.
to do,
4
it's-
passes. and then they
you
did-
know what it is. You should be able to cover it.
Here's the advantage for CSU and Wyoming is that Wyoming doesn't have the same consistent offense that Air Force does. Air Force, you know what they're going to do, and they're very good at just doing it continuously no matter what. And they may not score a touchdown every drive like they did against us, but they're going to move the ball 40, 50 yards each time. If CSU can get out to a lead like we did against Hawaii, Utah State, we can slow down Josh Allen because he's going to be in obvious passing scenarios. They don't have a rushing attack, average 3 yards a carry. They've only averaged more than 4 in one game the entire season, and they've averaged less than 3 in 3 games this season. They cannot run the football. None of the receivers that Josh Allen is throwing to are very talented, are going to blow you away, are going to do anything fancy. Nobody has more than 320 receiving yards on the year. So you can't expect Josh Allen to have a lot of weapons that are going to help him out. This offensive line for Wyoming hasn't been great either. They've underperformed. They lost a lot of really good guys to graduation last year. The same Wyoming team that beat us. So, if this team is embarrassed, like you said, Mike Bobo said in his press conference, if they come out aggressive and angry that they just lost and that they just got beat on their home turf, then we might see a different CSU team if they come out ready to go and angry. But I'm very worried that it's not going to impact them whatsoever, and they're going to come out flat. They're going to come out dry, and Josh Allen is going to embarrass them and put it on his NFL highlight film and going to get drafted with it.
Yeah. And then we got to play Boise, and then New Jerseys or not, that's still Boise. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello and happy Halloween. I'm Alex Clow. Let's get to it and talk sports. Well, the Colorado State football team's winning streak is officially over after last weekend. The team played Air Force at home and lost 45-28. The defense simply was not able to beat Air Force's triple option style defense. Air Force rushed for 413 yards and Colorado State rushed for 166 yards. Senior quarterback Nick Stevens didn't have his best performance of this season as he only completed 17 of his 31 passes for 269 yards. Stevens also had 2 touchdown passes and he had 3 interceptions. These were his first in conference play. Stevens officially has 63 touchdown passes, which is just shy one of CSU's all-time leader, Garrett Grayson. Wide receiver Michael Gallup had 7 catches for 161 yards and a touchdown. And sophomore fullback Adam Prentice caught his first career touchdown in the second quarter of the game. And senior running back Dalen Dawkins had a great performance with 141 yards on the ground and a touchdown on 13 carries. His touchdown was a 76-yard run, which was the longest of his career. On the defensive side, junior linebacker Josh Watson recorded a career high of 17 tackles, and sophomore cornerback logged his second interception of the season. Looking ahead, the team will be on the road this weekend to face Wyoming in the annual Border War. This game is set to kick off at 5 p.m. at night. The Colorado State volleyball team continues to be on fire as they had yet another sweep against Air Force last Thursday. This sweep marked their 12th consecutive win and their 9th sweep in conference play. The Rams will remain undefeated in Mountain West play as well. Jasmine Hanna was the leader for the Rams as she had 12 kills and a .385 hitting percentage. Kirsty Hillier and Brianna Reynolds also added 8 kills each. Katie Alexic dished out 34 assists and Amanda Young had 9 digs. In the beginning of the first set, the team set a 6-2 lead, and it was one they would hold for the entire match. The team has 2 home matches this week, beginning with Utah State on Thursday and then Boise State on Saturday. The Colorado State soccer team officially ended their season last Friday against Wyoming. CSU lost 2-3, and CSU's defender Haley Halvesek got 2 goals for the team, but this game was special for the Rams because they honored the seniors on the team. The 5 seniors are Paige Brandt, Taylor Hodgson, Gianna Marconi, Janelle Stone, and Maddie Rodriguez. Maddie Rodriguez did not get to start in the game due to an injury that has left her out for most of the season. The team will have an off week the rest of the week and will have time to recuperate, and then they are back at it for off-season training come next week. For more sport updates throughout the weekend, follow the CTV 11 YouTube page and don't go away.
Welcome back. I'm Tyler Patterson here for sports, not weather. So let's catch you up on all the latest in Colorado State athletics. The Colorado State football team fell to the Air Force Falcons on Saturday 45-28. The loss for CSU snaps the Rams' 4-game winning streak and marks the team's first loss in the new on-campus stadium. CSU's defense struggled to stop Air Force triple option run offense, giving up a gruesome 413 yards and 4 touchdowns on 74 Falcon rushing attempts. Air Force dominated the time of possession in the contest with their punishing ground game, holding onto the ball for nearly 42 minutes out of a 60-minute contest. When CSU did get the ball on offense, they wasted no time putting points on the board, which gave the defense very little rest. Dalen Dawkins busted off a 76-yard touchdown run on the first offensive possession, and Michael Gallup followed Dawkins' lead with an insane 55-yard touchdown grab of his own from Nick Stevens early in the first half. Gallup, the nation's leading receiver, added to his spectacular season totals, finishing with 161 yards and 1 touchdown on 6 catches. Running back Dalen Dawkins also had a strong individual performance despite the loss, finishing with 143 yards and 1 touchdown on 13 rushes. Dawkins has now rushed for at least 100 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. Quarterback Nick Stevens didn't play a great game and finished 17 of 31 for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. The 3 interceptions by Stevens were the first he's committed in conference play this season and were costly for CSU in Saturday's game. Although the 2 touchdown passes by Stevens put him just 1 touchdown shy away from CSU's all-time passing leader Garrett Grayson's for the school's touchdown record. Colorado State's record moved to 6-3 overall and 4-1 in Mountain West play. The Rams will travel to Laramie, Wyoming this Saturday to take on the Cowboys in the traditional border war. Kickoff is set for 5 p.m. Women's volleyball notched another conference win against Air Force last week, sweeping the Falcons 3-0. This is the 12th consecutive win for CSU and their 9th conference sweep this season. The win against Air Force was also the 48th straight win against the Falcons, dating way back to the 1995 season. CSU's overall record improves to 22-2, and the Rams remain perfect in conference play at 12-0. CSU is currently hosting Utah State at Moby Arena. The current score is CSU 12 to Utah State 7, and that is in the first set. CSU will host the Boise State Broncos at Moby Arena this Saturday, and tip is set for 1 p.m. Women's soccer wrapped up their 2017 campaign against Wyoming last Friday, losing the last match of the season 3-2. CSU was led by Haley Havlicek, who scored goals in the 26th and 63rd minutes, tying the game up at 2-2 after her second goal. Although CSU allowed a Wyoming goal in the 64th minute, which ended up being the game winner for the Cowgirls. CSU's senior class of players, including Haley Havlicek, Paige Brandt, Gianna Marconi, Maddie Rodriguez, and Janelle Stone, were the first recruits for head coach Bill Hempen when the program first began in 2013. On the group of seniors and what they did for the program, Bill Hempen said, quote, "They took a risk, and Janelle Stone told the group that she was proud to be a part of it. I think she will be a prideful Ram forever. I think all of them are. There's a little bit more to playing soccer. There's some grass stains to go with their degrees. They leave here with a stronger feeling for the program and for their team and their school, and that's what you want." CSU has some promising young players moving forward, and with a season of experience under their belts, the 2018 season should yield better results for the Rams. Well, when one season ends, another usually begins, and women's basketball began their preseason last night at Moby Arena with an exhibition game against the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. 13 Colorado State players got playing time in this one, and each of them took advantage of the opportunity to showcase their skills. 11 different Rams scored at least 1 point, and 7 different Rams made at least 1 3-point basket. CSU graduated 2 of the program's best players last year in Ellen Nystrom and Ellen Gustafson, but head coach Ryan Williams seems to have already recruited young and talented replacements. Freshmen Lena Savan Holm and Lori Devos led the way for CSU with 14 and 12 points. Senior Hannah Taverdi also scored 10 points for the Rams and grabbed 10 rebounds. CSU only led by 4 points heading into the fourth quarter, but a 31-point flurry in the fourth gave them a comfortable 78-60 win. The season will officially tip off next Friday, November 10th, against the Idaho Vandals. Tip time for Moby Arena is set for 5:30 p.m. That's all the sports I have for tonight. And for all the latest, head to thecollegian.com or CTV's Channel 11 YouTube. And don't go anywhere, because up next is Ryan Chris with entertainment.